So now I want to talk about what it was actually like being pregnant, which is probably what you guys are most interested in. So my pregnancy wasn't the greatest of times for me. I felt very ashamed of my situation. I wanted to cover my body quite a lot. I didn't want people knowing I was pregnant. I didn't want people looking at me in the streets and judging me. I had the worst perception of myself, and I mirrored that onto people. I thought people would share the perception I had of myself. I wore a lot of baggy clothes. I wore, tracky bottoms the whole time. I had one pair of pregnancy jeans, which I think I only wore to dinner for my sister's birthday, and I think I wore them on Christmas Day too. But looking back, I wish I'd have flaunted it a bit, because the people that did find out I was pregnant, passing them in the street, waiting at the post office, all those kind of things were absolutely incredible. They were so excited for me, they had such a big interest. So I hated the fact that I tried to hide it. It's really difficult talking about how pregnancy made me feel, because I felt like shit the entire time. I think because I was so ashamed of myself, and because I had nowhere to go, I couldn't really go out with friends, I couldn't really, travel because I was so tired all the time. I literally sat at home and I wallowed. And it made me feel like crap. I spent the entire time hating myself for the situation that I'd got myself in, and I really should have enjoyed it 100%, because it's an incredible experience, and I hate that I didn't take advantage of that. Having a bump, was absolutely incredible. I loved it. You can feel your baby moving around inside of you, and it's such a comforting, warming thought knowing that, you made that, and that's inside, and you're carrying it. How incredible is that? And us girls, we're the only people that get to do that. Men don't. Take advantage of it, because it's fucking amazing. I was able to eat whatever I wanted, which I absolutely loved. Oh my god, I would go to Greggs and I'd literally spend 15 quid. And that is hard to do in Greggs. I had a real craving for baked goods the entirety of my pregnancy. Even when I was going into labour and I was having really strong contractions, I sent Ava's dad out to go get me a donut and a yum yum. There was no stopping me. My body changing, I did really struggle with. I felt like because I didn't choose to get pregnant, I couldn't really accept the fact that my body was changing. I really liked my body before I was pregnant. I was always very comfortable and confident. I never really had that much of an issue. I hated the fact that my body was changing and I couldn't control it. My boobs got a lot bigger, which meant I couldn't wear most of my clothes anymore. My bum and my thighs got a lot bigger, and I got a lot of stretch marks. A lot. My bum is now absolutely covered in them. I've got a lot on my thighs, some on my calves even. I'll make sure I put some pictures up so you guys can see. But I was not happy at all. I would get naked and look in the mirror when I was about to have a bath, and I would cry because I hated the way that I looked. I felt fat, even though I knew I was pregnant. I felt fat. I hated that I had these scars on my body. I was bio-oiling them 3 times a day. Nothing was changing. I felt scarred, and I felt ugly. I gained a shit ton of weight. My face filled out. My arse got fat, my boobs began to sag. I hated it, but, my body was making the changes that it needed to change to support a life. And, how could I be so selfish to be oh, my poor body, when it was only doing those things so I could have my baby and have a healthy baby. And I shouldn't have been so vain. like I hate myself for thinking those things and feeling that way about myself when my body was literally doing the most incredible thing that it could do, and that was housing life and creating life and sustaining life. Like, what an incredible experience. And I hate that I didn't, take full advantage of it and make the most of it and enjoy it. It makes me really sad. The final thing about being pregnant that I want to talk about is people touching your belly. Because it is something people do, I was obviously more than happy for my friends to touch my belly. I kind of liked them because they were so excited when they did. Being able to feel Ava move around inside of me is quite incredible. It's pretty cool. And for people that have never experienced that, they want to experience it. So, it's not something to feel uncomfortable with. It's not an intrusive experience, I wouldn't say. People are just curious of the life that you're holding inside of you. So now I want to move on to support during my pregnancy. This is going to include medical support, emotional support, physical support, from all of the people around me, all of the people at the hospital, all of the people at the doctors, literally everyone that was involved in my pregnancy. So I'm going to start off with medical support. The doctors are absolutely incredible. So are the medical team. Scans are such a surreal experience. Like, they're absolutely amazing. My first scan, I went with my dad to the hospital. It's like what you see in the movies. You lift up your tummy, they put some gel on you, and they press that little scanner thing, which they move around, and they measure parts of the baby's body. Fucking incredible, the people that do that. Sonogram technicians, wow. It is an art form. They measure the circumference of the baby's head, the length of the femur, of the thigh bone, all of those things to make sure your baby is growing healthily. They check the heartbeat, they check the blood flow, they check the blood flow in the brain. They do so much, and you get to sit there and look at your baby and hear your baby's heartbeat. It was the most surreal experience of my entire life. I wept. I was sobbing. I was so overwhelmed. I was so excited. I was so scared. All of these feelings were so overwhelming. I just didn't know what to do with them. I cried. My dad, we stood outside the hospital, and I think I just cried for 20 minutes. We were just stood there, people walking past being like, oh my god. But that's what happened. I did want Ava's dad to be there. Unfortunately, he had work commitments which made him unavailable. He did come to a scan with me. He came to a few, and he came to all my doctor's appointments, all my hospital appointments. He tried to be there as much as he could, but he was a partner in a business that really needed him there, and he needed to be there so he could earn money, to obviously in later life support himself and support Ava. So in that sense, it was great. I unfortunately didn't have a plain sailing pregnancy because I found it out so late. There were obviously some medical concerns. I had been drinking, I'd been taking recreational drugs, not a lot, but I had taken recreational drugs during my pregnancy, obviously before I knew about it. I'd been eating some things I shouldn't have been eating. I was doing some things I shouldn't have been doing. So there were quite a few concerns in regard to medical terms. So, obviously they had all these reasons to be concerned. So, unlike in a normal pregnancy, I was having scans every month to make sure that Ava was growing properly and healthily, and that there weren't any further concerns. I was also having a lot of blood tests to monitor everything in my blood levels. One thing they're worried about is that I have quite low iron and I have quite low blood pressure. This was something that grew worse during my pregnancy because I didn't have a lot of iron in my system, and all of the iron that was in my system was obviously going straight to Ava to make sure that she was growing properly, which left me absolutely exhausted all the time. I think I ended up having like 2 naps a day towards the end of my pregnancy because I was just absolutely exhausted. In the end, I ended up having to have an iron infusion on Christmas Eve, so that I had enough iron in my system to support Ava and myself if I should have a lot of bleeding during labour. It was very uncomfortable, you get a drip in your hand and you have to sit there for about 3 hours, just liquid going in you. It was very slow, very painful. The staff were absolutely incredible though, I cannot fault them. I just get bored very easy. So I think that was my only problem. My family were incredible throughout my pregnancy. My sister always made sure that I had something I wanted. If she was ever going anywhere, she asked me if there was anything I needed. My parents were always there comforting me, making sure that I was going to get support after my pregnancy, because that was something that I was so scared of. Everyone was absolutely incredible. My friends were amazing. They called me, they texted me, they sent me care packages. I went and stayed with a friend over the Christmas break. They were amazing, and Ava's dad was absolutely incredible too. He was there whenever I needed him. He dealt with me when I wasn't in the best of moods. He had to deal with me being quite nasty, which obviously I regret a lot, but that's what hormones will do to you. Everyone was so supportive and so caring and so considerate. They really made it so much easier on me. So I'm just so thankful for everyone that was close to me, that supported me, that took care of me, that made sure I was okay. Because it was such a dark time for me. I was so scared and I was so worried, and I was judging myself every single day. I was wallowing, I really wasn't happy, and everyone took such good care of me. They really